From San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo, the Riverwalk, and the World Heritage San Antonio Missions, this is the Exit Planning Coach podcast with John F. Dini. Designed to help advisors who work with business owners, John talks with top professionals in the exit planning field about best practices, marketing tips, and how to be more effective when working with owners. Now, here's John F. Dini.
Hi, and welcome again to the Exit Planning Coach podcast. Today, my guest is Steve Hopkins. Steve is with BTA Circle in Oregon, and he has a really interesting bio. He was graduated in finance and law and then went to work for Marsh Insurance. For anybody that doesn't know the P&C world, Marsh is a huge multinational insurance company. I've had many clients that worked with him. And then after 10 years there, he went with a local property and casualty company, became an owner. But something happened, as happens to so many of us, something unplanned happened. And Steve, why don't you describe that? You could do it better than I.
So, yeah, I had a very favored, in fact, is my largest client. He's a very smart guy. He's an engineer, and his fondest desire was to transition his company to have his son become the successor CEO. And he has some pretty good ideas about that. And he asked me to help him design and implement his succession plan. And I didn't know anything about it, of course, and he acknowledged that. And but there was high trust, high likability, high good interpersonal chemistry. We were friends. We become friends. And said, I trust you to do this. We'll figure it out. So we did. We spent a couple of years on it, and it was the best professional experience I'd ever had in terms of, results and engagement and interest and all those things. So we did, and he actually passed away in 2011. We finished it in 2018, and so several years later, he passed away, and things worked out.
You must have misspoken. You said he passed away in 2011, and we finished in 2018.
Oh, we finished in 1998.
Oh, okay.
It was 96 to 98. We worked on this. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was like, wow, that was unplanned.
The numbers worked in my head, but
that's great. So you formed BTA Circle, and you have other advisors that you work together with in a team environment already, right? You don't pick and choose them.
So the BTA Circle, Charter BTA LLC is my operating company. And the BTA Circle is my resource group. And it's made up of a dozen other professionals, people that I have known for at least, 20 years. I wanted the best in the business. I wanted people that I would never have to apologize about bringing to the table. People who didn't actually, weren't desperately hungry for work, that, well-established folks. And so this is our 8th year. So I've got tax expert, legal, CFO, insurance, wealth management, the whole list of other professionals, every kind of resource, valuation, everything you would need on the advisory team to get an exit plan done.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So that's the BTA Circle. We meet twice a month. Once around the big shiny table early in the morning to review cases and talk about what's going on from the various professional corners, and then another time we meet for happy hour. So
that's where all the good ideas come from, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, we didn't do that at first, but somebody suggested, hey, this would be a good idea if we got together just casually, socially. And so I did. It was the best thing. It was the best thing because, the relationships and the personal side of that all gets really cemented and reinforced.
Sure. Now,
like,
this is a podcast for advisors. And I'm sure that, out in the audience, we've got somebody going, well, that's very nice. But, when I talk to a client, they like their lawyer, they like their CPA. What do you do in that situation, Steve?
So it's totally understood in the BTA circle that there's no exclusivity. That if the CPA or attorney or whatever professional relationship is already existing is good. Okay, we work with the team that's there
and is qualified.
Yeah. Okay. So for a good example, everybody has a CPA, but everybody's CPA is not necessarily a tax expert. So
sure.
We have in the BTA circle a CPA who spent years with Arthur Anderson, KPMG as a tax partner. The guy is nobody better on as a tax expert. Well, he's a CPA. He doesn't threaten or step on the existing CPA's toes. Only enhances.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you like most advisors and like me certainly love it when I'm talking through a plan with another advisor and he says, that's really kind of out of my area. I have somebody else I think you should take that to, or perhaps somebody that's better qualified for this. I will bend over backwards to make sure that his relationship with the client stays intact. But I'm just so thankful that he's not trying to tackle something that we have to, argue about down the road because he doesn't know what he's doing.
No, exactly.
What do you consider the most important factor in converting a prospect into a client? What are the magic words? Tell us all. What's the one thing that you say that makes them say, "Oh, yes, you're right. I need to do this."
In virtually every case that engagement that I get involved in, I'm introduced and brought to the table by I'm either referred by an existing client or one of my strategic partners, whether it be from the BTA circle or people I know. By the way, my favorites by far are the property casualty insurance agent, because transition exit planning is truly a risk management function. I don't ever sell. I never go on a sales call. I only go to have a conversation with somebody who is so totally vetted that we know. I mean, they're in the red zone. Their age, their time in business. We've checked all those boxes, and so I don't really have to have the magic bullet hook because I've got to do this because they've already crossed that threshold.
That's great. That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Save yourself some time.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to tell them my referral source. In the National Exit Planner Survey, I think it was over 2/3. I think about 70% of the people said their number one referral source was other professionals. I think I just have to reach out to the professionals that refer to me and say, hey, you got to do a better job of working on your client and getting them ready before you send them over to me.
Well, so that's my marketing. I don't have an email list with a drip campaign. Maybe I should, but I don't have one. I don't really need one because something I do with my list of strategic partners is once a month we've agreed, hey, we're just gonna touch base for 20-30 minutes once a month, and we'll talk about what's already on the list. And I don't want a big long list. I want a very short list.
Mm-hmm.
But we're continuously bringing to mind who in your circle meets the criteria, who's, in the right age band, have been in business for a long time, have a successful business, and they, they're pre-qualified. And in those touch-based meetings, we also do some brainstorming, or we'll do some collaborative brainstorming with a few more people about what do you because somebody has a primary relationship here, and they know this business owner really well, and they know what the pain points are, and we're going to dig into what would be a catalyst that would make this owner actually take action and get engaged. So that way, then, we don't waste any business owners' time. We don't go fishing. We go catching, because, they're very totally profiled and vetted.
Wow, that's a terrific process. It's so much more effective and so much more focused than just, kind of going to BNI and saying, who do you know?
Right. I think this guy'd be good. Well, maybe,
Yeah, right.
Much more questions you can ask before you ever meet the guy.
Sure. Yeah, that
and
happens.
If I say guy, that's the generic, guy or
right.
male, female included.
Yeah. No, that's I had somebody call me the other day, another advisor, and he said, I need you to talk to this guy and tell him what to do about transitioning his company. He does, I don't know, $10 million a year, and he thinks he wants to sell it to a third party. What should I tell him? And I said, I don't know. There's like 50 other questions I need answered before I can even begin to have an idea.
Yeah, for sure. Because everybody wants something different. I mean, that's the thing you have to be totally clear on, right? From the first meeting is, it's a very simple question of what do you want to have happen?
Right. And that's a classic. We're running a little long. I've got to take a break, but somebody told me once that is the best question in the world. Yeah. Nobody can ever object to being asked, what would you like to see happen?
Right.
Okay, let's take a break here so we can pay for the podcast, and we'll be back in a minute with Steve Hopkins from the Charter BTA Circle, and we're going to talk more about being an advisor to business owners, because that's what we do here.
How would your practice survive if only 25% of your clients were happy with your work? How many referrals would you get? Would you advertise that success rate? Over the last decade, both the Exit Planning Institute and PwC have surveyed owners and found that 75% were profoundly unhappy a year after their exits. In 10 years, the exit planning industry has done little to fix this issue. Business owners need purpose, direction, and activity after exiting. Planning for that starts with your very first coaching conversation. We work with advisors who believe that clients should be happy after exiting. ExitMap is a structured discovery process that helps you have deeper conversations about client options, objectives, and life after the business. We help you launch better transitions. Take a test drive at exitmap.com.
Welcome back. I'm with Steve Hopkins of Charter BTA Circle. And Steve, if other advisors want to get a hold of you, give us your contact information, please.
Well, I'm at SC, that's Stephen C. SC Hopkins 55@gmail.com. And my phone number is 503-200-4720.
Okay. Well, I can see some people calling you to get advice, especially, we regularly have advisors that are talking about forming a circle, and I love your criteria for being in your circle. We were talking earlier today about the two surveys that have come out, the one in 2013 from the Exit Planning Institute, and then again recently, earlier this year, the one from PwC that says 75% of business owners that leave their businesses are unhappy a year later.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it goes along with the question of what do you want to have happen, and my habit from years of experience of doing comprehensive planning. The one thing I do is hold myself out as a transition facilitator, not as a, like buy side, sell side. I don't do that. So that we can focus on the best interest of everybody. It has to be a good deal for everybody. And part of that good deal includes being very clear on what's next and really digging into that. Because I did a deal for a good friend of mine 1 year ago. It was almost a year ago to the date. He cashed out for tens of millions. And before he did, we went through, what are you going to be doing? And what about your kids? And really, painted the picture as clear as we could about what's next. Because that's where the unhappiness comes from. It's usually not because they didn't get enough money in the bank or something like that. It's more personal and emotional. Hey, I've been the boss for 30 years. I'm nobody. That sort of thing.
Very definitely. Very definitely. The missing purpose, the missing, in some cases, just the missing activity, just getting up. I had an owner some years ago when I was brokering. We valued his company at about $6.5 million. And we were fortunate enough to have two publicly traded entities both want to buy him. He had kind of a unique market position. And they both sent LOIs the same day, one for 11.2 and one for 11.6, almost twice what we estimated the company. He disappeared. We couldn't find him. We called him for days. We couldn't get him to answer his phone. We finally, and this is no lie, and I had a partner at the time, and I criticized the partner for not doing a personal vision with him. He said, "Oh, no, he's going, he's old enough, he's gonna," and I finally used somebody else's cell phone so he wouldn't recognize the number. And I called him up and he answered. And I said, "I'll call him Bob. That's not his name." And I said, "Bob, what's going on? We've been waiting 4 days to tell these people with the LOIs what's going on." He said, "Tell them it's off the market." I said, "What? You have two offers that opening positions are twice as much as we think your company is worth." And he said, "Since those letters came in, I open my eyes in bed every morning, and the first thought in my head is, if I don't go to work today, I have no idea what I would do. Take it off the market." I just talked to him the other day. He's 86 now, still goes to work every day. He's leaving it to an employee with very little preparation, doesn't want to do exit planning, doesn't want to do tax planning, says, "When I go, the employee can have the business, and good luck to him." And that's it.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Yes, it is. It is. It's going to be unfortunate for the employee too when he sees the tax bill. I don't know how he's going to deal with that. Yeah.
It's going to be a totally avoidable mess.
Yes.
I mean, yep.
But there's nothing you can do. But that was, you just described the problem. It's not about the money. He's got plenty of money and he knows it. And he doesn't care about the value of the company. He just doesn't want to deal with it because he can't imagine life without going to work every day. What is your biggest challenge when you set out to do a plan for somebody?
Well, the biggest challenge is because this is outside of and a business owner is, he's the general. He's got the battle plans, he knows the answers. He's in his zone, doing day in and day out what he's really good at. He or she's really good at. And so this is new territory. And this is something never done before. And so that's really the challenge, is to let them know that it's okay that they don't, they're not expert at this. Then to get them engaged with the end in mind, so they see where we're going and then commit to a timeline and commit to the process. You need to do that up front. In fact, I set meetings out. I know I'm going to have at least 5 meetings, and we're going to get to one milestone after the next, and we'll go ahead and just commit to that timeline and set the meetings, because otherwise, business and life just take over.
Yeah. When I was brokering years ago, there was an outfit that brokered all over the country, and what they would do is they would list a company and then run ads in the little shoppers, the newspapers that they toss on your driveway locally, with all the coupons and stuff in them. And their sales pitch was, you've owned your business for years. Who could possibly be better qualified to sell it than you? And that was just like the worst idea I ever heard. I mean, how many business owners have we run into that think because they know their business, they know how to sell their business?
They're out there.
Yeah. And it's just a different skill set.
But you still look at the statistics have held up for decades of the 80-20.
Mm-hmm.
You said 75-25, but whatever. It's big. It's the smaller fraction are the ones who successfully continue. Yeah.
Well, and the 80-20 rule is that's the IBBA too. Pepperdine does a survey of the International Business Brokers Association every year, and they freely admit that they sell 1 out of 5 listings.
Yeah.
If business owners knew what the track record was, they'd have a whole different attitude towards being able to sell their company.
That's true. Yeah.
Let me ask you something to wind up. How would you describe your ideal client relationship?
One, we've vetted them very clearly up front, and we have an introduction. But I think the high trust and interpersonal chemistry is critical. If either of those 2 elements are missing, don't move. Don't do the engagement. If you're dealing with somebody that you don't really like, or there's even a whisper that they don't really like you, it's not going to work. I mean, it's not going to work. So it's going to be frustrating. It's not going to work. So high trust and that, communication, we see eye to eye, we're kind of, that sort of thing.
That's well phrased. And, you remind me of that with your story about your first exit planning experience, the client that said, I want you to help me. And, our definition, and I put it all over, of the most trusted advisor is you're the person that your client calls, even when they know it's not your area of expertise, but they call you first. And that's how you got into exit planning, by being the most trusted advisor.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And, it's not my objective or topmost goal when I launch with somebody. But the result is virtually always I end up being close personal friends with my business owner clients.
That's great. Well, Steve, it has been a pleasure. We're going to do this again and hopefully be able to get you back on and talk about some more specific things in the exit planning world, get into more technical stuff. But I wanted to start out by introducing you to the audience. And I think what you've done with the BTA Circle is just terrific. And it sounds like you've been very, very successful with it. So really like hearing about it. Really appreciate knowing you.
There's that. And, the ExitMap tools, great track to run on. Very essential to what we do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thanks, John.
Okay. Have a great day, Steve.